Hello, and welcome to another episode of Ask an Assistant, the podcast for executive assistants and the people that love us. I'm your host, Jess Lindgren. Let's get to work. I'm coming to you today with a little housekeeping episode. The first, it is Employee Appreciation Day, at least in the United States. On Friday, March 7th, 2025. Today is Monday, March 3rd, 2025. So apologies for the late notice. Things have been a little wild here in the United States. I don't know if you've noticed or heard. Do something nice for your staff and show them that you care. I will be linking to episode 7 of the Ask an Assistant podcast. That episode is labeled Employee Appreciation Day 2024. However, the advice and ideas in that podcast, totally evergreen. So take that, do with it what you can. If you can't pull something together on such short notice, just acknowledge the day verbally or via email and do something nice for your staff soon. Again, things in the US are wild here for so many reasons. At the time of recording, tariffs are moving ahead on several countries in the coming days, and I would imagine retaliatory tariffs coming into play soon. So celebrate while the celebrating is good and make sure that it's in the budget. As always, check with your financial professional to see what they advise. The second, this weekend, it is time zone change o'clock in the United States. Daylight savings time, if you will. Alex Trebek always said that both were acceptable, and if Alex Trebek is wrong, I don't want to be right. Time zone o'clock change here in the United States over the weekend. The Bahamas, Bermuda, Canadian provinces that observe daylight saving time, Haiti, some parts of Mexico, Saint Pierre et Miquelon. I think I looked that up. I think that's how we say that. Turks and Caicos and Greenland. Greenland, I'm a little surprised by that they don't change with Europe since they are still closely affiliated with Denmark. But those are the folks that will be changing over the weekend, Saturday night into Sunday morning. A couple of countries already moved back an hour on February 23rd, and there are a handful that are going to change between March 9th and March 30th. But on March 30th, much of Europe will have their time zone changed, followed by a few outliers in early April until Australia and New Zealand change their time on April 6th. Palestine on April 12th, and rounding out the season, Egypt on April 25th. I am really interested by these outliers. Like, why can't we drag the time zone changes to like one day or within a week of each other? I personally am rooting for the day, fingers crossed it happens within my lifetime, that we just all stop changing clocks sometime. It'd be so nice. But until then, I just ride the waves of time changes as they come and thank my lucky stars that we no longer have a regular coaching client in Australia. The time zone difference between California and Australia on an average day is already challenging. And when there's a gap in time, like this time, it's like fully a month between the United States and Australia changing. And we spring ahead and fall back in the United States. So in the spring, we move ahead 1 hour. In the fall, we move back 1 hour. Australia, Southern Hemisphere, they do the opposite. They spring back and fall forward. I don't know what the little saying is in Australia and New Zealand, but I do know that when you are working in the United States and have regular business interactions with people in the Southern Hemisphere, the time zone change is challenging. Anyhow, there is a link in the show notes to the timeanddate.com page that outlines when each country will shift in the coming weeks. There is also an episode to a link to episode 10, Spring Ahead 2024. Again, it is labeled a 2024 episode, but the advice and thoughts are evergreen, and my dislike of the practice also evergreen. Again, hoping for that day where we just stop doing it. Thing the third, the full episode, this will be episode Ask an Assistant 58. Episode Ask an Assistant 59 is still, it needs a little more time in the oven. So it will be coming later today on March 4th, Tuesday, March 4th. That episode will drop before end of business Pacific on Tuesday, March 4th. Just needed a little extra time with editing, a little bit of refining my thoughts, making sure everything is clear and making sense. Um, Thing the fourth, I believe, is wrapping up the housekeeping. If you're feeling fancy, please sign up for my newsletter. It is presently found on Substack at askanassistant.substack.com. If you are a paid subscriber on Substack and or Patreon and or Apple Podcasts, once I get that set up, you will receive weekly bonus episodes of my fabulously famous series. And by fabulously famous, I mean my grandpa loves it and listens to it sometimes in his garage woodshop. You will receive those weekly episodes, which I have just shifted back into gear. The Win and or Whoopsie, the WOTW series of the week. And I am also aiming to send a monthly recap email, which will include any happenings, whether that's podcast appearances for me on other shows, whatever episodes I published for the month, any events that I'm doing. I'm doing quite a bit with Jeremy of the Leader Assistant podcast this year. So I'm really excited to share more about that partnership. I'd love to see you over there. I'm not super great at social media, but I am trying. I really love when things all funnel in through one location instead of having to remember to check 5 different social media sites for mentions and DMs and all of it. I like everything to just come in through email. So if you just go to askanassistant.com, everything you should be able to find how to get in touch with me there. That is the best place. And I also love having a paid element to moderating comments. Honestly, it cuts down on trolls and bots, and it means that for you to interact, it means that you're invested. You're invested in the community, you're invested in the show, and just kind of eases my workload a lot by having just a pretty low barrier to entry Patreon and Substack subscriptions start at $5 a month, as many people do. There will be a link to that in the show notes. Thank you so much, as always, for listening. Thank you for being here. Stay hydrated. It is still early March here in upstate New York, dry AF, and I'm feeling it, not drinking enough water. Stay hydrated. Being hydrated helps you be a little happier, I hope. Certainly does for me. But anyway, until the next episode, again, Ask an Assistant 59 coming later today. And until then, take care.